present For the Record with Neil Heinen.
Building momentum around criminal justice reform is next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. Criminal justice reform, especially corrections policies, is one of the most important human rights issues facing this nation, this state, and this community. The system is broken, and while the fix has been slow in coming, there is a new sense of possibility in improving our justice system, our corrections system, and our resources for re-entering former offenders. We'll get an update today from three representatives from Moses, Madison Organizing in Strength, Equality, and Solidarity. Community organizer Frank Davis, Religious Leader Caucus Chair Sister Joan Durst, and Justice System Reform Initiative Chair Paul Seaman. Thank you all very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Maybe you could just help us understand Moses a little bit and through your personal connection to Moses. Frank, how do you define Moses and what's your role in it?
All right. Well, I'm a community organizer for Moses. I've been in this position for about 3 years. What we do, we are a nonprofit organization. We work on criminal justice reform. But one of our main focus is reducing mass incarceration and now mass supervision. So we go about doing that through policy work. We have task forces that work on different issues within the prison system. And through our task force and through our work, we work with trying to improve situations for people in prison and also when they get out. There are a lot of individuals who are in prison who, over 90% of the people in prison are going to be returning home, and it's essential that, one, they're given a good environment inside prison so they can actually thrive, grow, and become better. And as they want to become better, it's also important when they come home to have resources for them. So
Madison is in the name, but it's part of a statewide, would you describe it as part of a statewide coalition of reform groups?
Yes. Yeah. Moses is one of 11 different organizations around the state. Yep. We're connected to Wisdom, which is our statewide organization, that's the umbrella. And then we're also connected to a national organization called Gamaliel. And with that, it's like 44 different, it's in 44 different cities in 11 different states. Okay. And we work on different issues around the state, but we try to stay connected and cohesive doing different things. So we train together, we have meetings together, national leadership training, and that's one of the, I guess you say, important things that allow us to be able to keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening in the criminal justice system, and also social justice, because some of our organizations do social justice work as well.
So, Sister Joan, who are the religious leaders in the caucus?
Well, we have about 23 different congregations at this point. So we are also, Frank didn't say those words, but we are an interfaith organization, as is Wisdom and as is Gamaliel. Yeah. So we train in that to use our faith. That sounds weird to say I'm going to use my faith, but our faith inspires us and gives us the strength to do the social justice, whether it be in the criminal justice system or whether it be in trafficking or transportation, whatever it is, even though our organization has focused on prison reform. Yep. And just to mention, I'm a Dominican of Sitzanawa, and many people in Madison are familiar because they know of Edgewood, and they may have also known of Esther Heffernan, a sociology professor at Edgewood. She's emeritus now, though no longer living in Madison, but she got me when I'm a Wisconsinite. So I'm proud of being a Wisconsinite. And when I first moved back here in 2008, Moses was just beginning. And through Esther and her organization, that's how I got involved in Moses.
And is it fair to say, Sister Joan, that a lot of the work around this issue takes place in faith communities?
Absolutely. Yes, and we remind ourselves of that every time our whole organization meets, or even when all of Wisdom meets, Gamaliel, we always remind ourselves that that's the motivating force of our people.
Right.
Paul, what brought you to Moses?
Well, I worked in state government for much of my career, and then in welfare reform, and saw a lot of change. And then I had an opportunity to work in other states, and the last part of my career ended up in a family foundation in Newark, New Jersey, and we did a lot of work with criminal justice reform, with creating one-stop centers for people returning and working with the prisons. And then I retired, and about that time the Race to Equity report came out, and I said, this is just like Newark. And we had actually made a lot of progress in New Jersey, and I thought, gee, there's got to be some way we can improve this. And I heard about Moses and started coming to Moses meetings. And shortly after, the first jail report came out. And I signed up for the work group to read that 600-page report.
The Dane County Jail.
The Dane County Jail. Yeah. And as many organizations, we were pretty upset that, I think mainly that did not address what we considered some of the most important issues, the racial disparity that with 6% of population African Americans in Madison, 40+ population in the jail, the mental health issues, solitary confinement, and that, with many other organizations, led to Resolution 556 that really set the stage for what's happening now.
Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, you've started on some of the issues, and I would like to explore some of the other issues that you consider really important in this reform effort, and we will do that right after this.
For the Record, sponsored by MG&E, your community energy company.
More people are switching to Ram than ever before because Ram gives you more towing, more luxury, more legroom, and more deals with up to 20% off MSRP on America's most awarded pickup. The all-new Ram 1500. Hurry in for big deals during Ram Truck Month.
Now get 20% off MSRP on select all-new 2019 Ram 1500 models in dealer stock.
Noah's Ark, America's largest water park, with more thrill rides, more family rides, like Raja, the world's largest king cobra. Buy a season pass with 3 payments as low as $14.99 each.
For the past 40 years, the pulse of the city has been found within these pages of Madison Magazine.
I've been a subscriber to Madison Magazine for about the last decade. Madison Magazine is one of the few places in town where you can read long-form journalism about the stories that really do impact the greater Dane County area.
Madison Magazine is the region's most influential publication. Every month, our team works so hard to deliver the best in food, dining, arts, culture, politics, and business.
I love Madison Magazine for the in-depth topics. You'll be able to read more about camping, the arts, sciences, topics that make Madison a great place to live.
Don't miss out on the pulse of the city. Subscribe today at MadisonMagazine.com. I'm Emmy Fink, and you're buzzed into Madison. Cheers.
I have a special announcement now at Ashley Furniture Home Store. On top of the $15 million liquidation event, we are going to include 36 months interest-free, plus up to 66% off. Now at Ashley Furniture Home Store.
We're back with 3 members of Prison Reform, Corrections Reform Group Moses, headquartered here in Madison, but part of a statewide criminal justice reform movement. Frank Davis is the community organizer. Sister Joan Durst is religious leader caucus chair, and Paul Seaman is Justice System Reform Initiative chair. So, I mean, I can get a little overwhelmed thinking about all of the issues that we're talking about here. Starting at the beginning with who we're arresting and why, how they enter into the system, what happens when they're in the system, and then getting out of the system. Put that in some perspective, Frank. How do we start to get our heads around this?
Well, I guess I always use the explanation whenever you're dealing with the criminal justice system. I always use the analogy, it's a river. You have the beginning, middle, and end. The beginning is sort of what we do with policy work. In the middle are individuals who are going inside and trying to help. And then at the end, you have individuals who are returning home, and people help with individuals returning home, getting jobs at home.
And you've experienced all of this.
Yes, yes. I'm previously incarcerated, so I dealt with that. And when I came home, I understood. I made a mistake. I changed my life, changed my mentality. Now it's about trying to get back in society, acclimate myself. And there weren't a lot of options. There weren't a lot of individuals and people and entities saying, okay, here. It was always this stigma. And for me, it was like, okay, I'm not what you called me, and I refuse to walk in that. So because of that, I really wanted to be involved in Moses, because I know that there are a lot of individuals who are there who made a mistake, changed their life, and they aren't given that opportunity. So for me to be a part of Moses, it was really important. But to answer your question, a lot of individuals say that, okay, it's too big, it's too much to do. Sometimes you just have to pick a part. You just pick your point wherever you're going to start, and we work on policy. So for us, it's about trying to stop people from actually being in prison, people coming home, and that's what we work on. So for us, it's take a little piece at a time. And first and foremost, you have to learn. Read up on it, understand what the issues are, and find out where your energy is. And that's where people have to start. Find out where your energy are, what motivates you. As we call it, what's your self-interest? Yeah. What pushes you forward? What gets you angry? What gets you frustrated about the system? And then once you get connected to that force, then take that and put it to work in trying to change the system. That's how it works.
And you both feel comfortable working in that space?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the policy area.
Yes.
Entry, re-entry, without getting involved in what's going on in the correction system today.
Oh. Well,
I kind of thought that's what Frank was leaving out. That we're talking
that's
about.
what our purpose is in our organization. On the other hand, what we've learned as we do this, and in fact, before Moses, there were people in Madison who were doing what we call prison ministry. In other words, going in there, talking to people, helping them to be human beings, full human beings, and they were the ones who came out and said, that's not enough. It's not enough because we have to change the system if things are going to be better for anyone. Right. And so coming from our faith leaders, all faith leaders, I think, see that. But
what's changing the system, sister?
What is changing the system?
Yeah, what does that mean, changing the system?
Okay. Oh, that's a biggie. Okay.
I know. There goes the rest of the show.
Okay, well, I think it does have to start with each of us and our understanding of what the world is about and what are human beings about. And so what faith people learn, we all learn. I mean, we're all faith people in some way, even those people who say they aren't, have this humanness that helps us to see that respect for each individual is really important. So even when, before you were getting arrested and you were doing funny things, you had dignity. That's the key. The key is human dignity. And so what we have to have is a vision. And so the people who are involved in criminal justice system, from the person down there who did something against himself and everybody else, that person has dignity. The arresting officer, that person has dignity. The judge, the courts, the wardens, the governor, there's human dignity of all of us. And so as we think, okay, what can help us all be more human? That is what we need to tweak to make our system better, any of our systems.
If I can include, one of the things I think, if how does it look for the system to change, and what does it actually mean? I think it means a couple things. One, it means parity and everybody being treated fairly. Yep. We already understand that people of color, that here in Wisconsin, we get treated differently. People on supervision, people of color, they get treated differently. How they go back to prison, how they get revocated, even how individuals get arrested, how they interact with the system, yep. How they're actually bought into the system. We understand the school-to-prison pipeline. We see these images of young kids of color, and all of a sudden, they're getting harmed, victimized. They get focused in on sometimes, and with them, they get focused in on, they get put in juvie, and all of a sudden, it's this fast track in. And I think changing the system means to be able to change that, to be able to say, okay, the system itself, it isn't treating people differently. It isn't treating people of color where they get more time, you know, more supervision and stuff like that.
That's the equality in Moses.
Exactly.
Well, with the jail study and all of the innovations and issues going on in the county, we realized that's where things start. It starts in our community. And through our participation, we've come to the realization that we do need a new jail. Our current jail is dangerous. Dane County should have a new jail. But Dane County should also be doing much more to keep people out of the jail who shouldn't be there in the first place. And so that kind of sparked our group to get much more knowledgeable about the local system, and from community resources through people coming out of jail. And in doing that, one of the areas that we've focused on a lot is mental health. And because our jails have become a default mental health treatment. And we've looked at other communities, and there are some innovations to keep people out of jail, so that when someone's having a mental health crisis, that they have a place to go other than the emergency room or jail. Yeah. And so the way we've tried to influence change is by going to county committee meetings and learning and listening and testifying, and also being willing to participate in county work groups. Yeah. We were heavily involved in the county work groups that were set up under Resolution 556 to look at diversion and mental health and length of stay issues.
That's a good transition, Paul. And I want to take the last break, and then when we come back, I want to identify where progress is being made. We're going to do that right after this.
MG&E, building a community energy company for the future through the power of working together, committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Energy2030together.com.
Empire Today here to show you the easiest way to get new floors. Shop at home. Empire brings samples to you. Hundreds of options. Carpet, hardwood, tile, vinyl, and laminate. We'll help you pick the right floor and measure your rooms for free. You'll get a price estimate for your entire job, and you can even finance it right on the spot. It's that easy. Shop for floors at home. That's Empire Today.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. Some see trails as only muddy paths, steep climbs, and rough terrain. But in the redesigned Jeep Cherokee, your trail can lead anywhere. See where your trail leads at the Jeep Celebration event.
Or well-qualified returning lessees get a low-mileage lease on a 2019 Jeep Cherokee 4x4 for $239 a month.
Congratulations to Allie Keller, a special education teacher at Schurz Elementary in Watertown.
I guess I'm really passionate about working with families and making the children successful. and independent as much as they can be.
If you know a teacher who deserves to be recognized as a top-notch teacher, send us a letter, an email, or nominate a teacher at channel3000.com.
Sponsored by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
MG&E, building a community energy company for the future through the power of working together, committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Energy2030together.com.
An idea that arrived with her daughter's birth grows into a brand, inspiring females of all ages.
It's important for us to encourage girls to be whoever they are.
Meet the entrepreneurs and the spunky little muse behind Girl Wonderful, Monday on News 3 Now at 10.
I'm back with Frank Davis, Sister Joan Durst, and Paul Seaman from the Criminal Justice Reform Group Moses. And we are identifying issues, and now we're about to identify some places of hope and progress. I had mentioned earlier that the fact that Governor Evers has talked about looking at potential pardons, whereas his predecessor for 8 years never issued a single pardon, introduces that element of hope, Frank, that you were just talking about. What are some other places that you feel hopeful about?
Well, I guess for me, Evers, but also the new DOC secretary.
Yeah.
He seemed, Secretary Carr, he seems very open to understanding, one, that the system, well, I challenge that it's not necessarily broke. It's working how it's supposed to. It just breaks people. So
and this is solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement.
Who we're hiring for corrections officers and those kinds of policies.
Exactly. So it's like he can affect this, and he is really open to change what is going on. So that is an area of hope. Even the new the chair, pro commissioner, Tate. It's promising because for the longest, individuals never saw hope in one getting paroled or even being seen as human. One of the things that Secretary Carr, he openly has done is he stopped referring to men and women in prison as offender. Openly, he referred to them as men and women in our care. It's just about that first person, response, thinking about these are men and women who made a mistake.
Next time you're on this show, Frank, we're going to spend half of the show talking about rules because it's a really important issue that we don't have time to get into right now. But I would like your perspective, Sister.
Well, I think in the last few years, Dane County's Restorative Justice Court is another sign of hope.
Great example.
It started small, but it's expanding already here in Dane County. We know there are some jurisdictions in Dane County who need to help sign on to that to make it more complete. But I think then we become a model, too, not only for Wisconsin, but for the rest of the country.
And that interrupts the pipeline. I mean, that's where you can put a stop to the automatic entry into the criminal justice system.
Yes, yes.
Paul?
Well, the county has listened to the community with local reform. The jail will be a smaller jail. Community groups made dozens of recommendations, and they've gone to the Criminal Justice Council. They review them on a regular basis and have implemented many of them. The county has committed and started a study of Dane County's mental health system and how it impacts the criminal justice system. So these are significant steps. This doesn't happen immediately, and honestly, not all ideas work. So they have to be done carefully, and sometimes they have to be tweaked, and so we're very hopeful at the local level, but it needs to be continued. This is a long-term issue.
Frank, I want to make sure that we talk about some of the events coming up, just as a way of how people might get involved with Moses or help support your work.
All right. Well, a couple different, we have our monthly meeting. We have monthly meetings that we have. Our next one is July 15th, I do believe, on a Saturday or a Sunday. And one of the another event that we have coming up, 3 times a year we have National Leadership Training. And National Leadership Training is something that is done by our national organization, Gamaliel. And it basically brings people together for a week to focus in on how do we fight these issues and really being focused in on it. One of the big things that we're doing this year, we're actually doing a launch of our statewide campaign on Unlocking the Vote. There are roughly 67,000 people here in Wisconsin who are under some form of supervision, and they can't vote. They're paying taxes. A lot of them have been out here for years, no problem, no issues, and they can't even vote. So that's one of the things that the 27th, we're having our national kickoff and our statewide kickoff, and then here in Madison on July 20th, we're going to have our launch of we're having a 5-city tour of this Unlock the Vote campaign. And so we're going to be starting here in Madison and then going around the state. And then next year, we also going to be talking about the Unlock the Vote campaign.
And here's more information. People could go to the website and find entry points to your work and how they can get involved. Frank, Sister Joan, Paul, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much enjoying the conversation.
Good to be here.
And we will come back and wrap up For the Record right after this.
Some kids do well in a traditional classroom. But if you're looking for a different approach, K-12 could be the answer. Our online public schools give families another choice. K-12 is tuition-free and available in most states. Here's how it works. Students are taught online by state-certified teachers. The curriculum is fully accredited, and the program gives kids the flexibility to work at their own pace. They can explore subjects they're passionate about and get extra help when they need it from their teachers and their parents. Call or go online today to learn more.
Our students succeed beyond K-12. They learn skills that colleges and universities value.
When a student earns a diploma, they've worked hard for it.
Join the growing community of families who have switched to K-12 and succeeded. Enrollment is open, so call today. K-12, because every child is uniquely brilliant.
I was confused with AT&T's different packages, DirecTV's contracts, and which internet speed was right for our devices. But I found my way out thanks to Spectrum. With Spectrum Internet, my family can connect and stream videos at the same time with no data caps.
Switch to Spectrum Internet for $44.99 a month for 12 months with internet starting speeds of 200 megabits. That's 2 times faster than AT&T. Call 1-855-588-5483.
Spectrum TV has our favorites like BET, Bravo, and ESPN.
Switch to Spectrum TV with over 125 channels, including free HD and on demand for $44.99 a month. Call 1-855-588-5483.
Plus, with the Spectrum TV app, we can watch live TV on our mobile devices. So glad we switched.
How hard was it to switch?
One call, one bill. And the best part? No contract. Spectrum will even buy out your current contract up to $500.
I'll switch too.
Break free and switch to Spectrum Internet and TV for $44.99 a month each. Call 1-855-588-5483.
My thanks to Frank and Sister Joan and Paul, and you for joining us. We'll see you next week on For the Record.